Hey guys, welcome to this this interview series. My name is Eric Sales De Andrade, and I'm the founder of NutriV, a health supplement company. And I started this series to bring you some amazing information and advice from, professional experts in the health and fitness industry. So I'll be interviewing people, experts like nutritionists, personal trainers, and other, highly experienced people in the fitness industry, and getting their thought on a variety of subjects from health, how you can stay more proactive, more fit, in control of your health and wellness. And I'm joined by Marina Abdalla today, who's a registered nutritionist based here in London. And we'll be going through some very interesting topics, having a nice conversation, and give you some advice on how you can improve your health and stay fit, and stay more in control of your nutrition. So welcome, Marina.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you on the call. And so let's get into it. I've known you for I think about a year on and off. We've been speaking right from the early NutriV days. When we were formulating our first product, and I reached out to you on a phone or something. I can't remember, probably like 1 or 2 years, 2 years ago, probably something, 1.5 years. So it'll be nice to, some people know your background. Some of our followers, they've been following you, reading your, following your social media and all, but others probably don't know you as well. So it'll be nice to have a bit of background and an introduction to yourself, and sort of where you grew up, where you went to school, where you went to uni, and what you learned, and some background there.
Oh, thank you for having me. So just a sort of quick snapshot about me. So I was born, raised in London, studied in London as well. I have always been into biology and chemistry. I absolutely loved sciences and knew that I wanted to sort of pursue some sort of career within the healthcare industry. During sort of my early career, I worked in pharmacy as a pharmacy assistant, just to get a little bit of experience. I think traditionally, from where I'm originally from Egypt, it was a very sort of common route to go down either pharmacy or dentistry or to be a doctor. So I guess I just sort of tried to explore that within pharmacy. However, I think working in the pharmacy for about 6 years, I saw that people were coming in for a lot of different types of medication that I knew could be treated through the power of nutrition. Lots of things, if they just eliminated within their types of foods, if they eliminated or incorporated within their diet, they wouldn't need to rely on medication. And I think that's where my interest sort of sparked into exploring nutrition a little bit further. So I then went on to study nutrition at London Metropolitan University, studied for 3 years there, graduated and registered with the Association for Nutrition. And since then, I've been trying to sort of establish my feet within the industry, I guess, and trying to explore the different routes and maybe specializations. I'm particularly interested in, medical conditions. I think just seeing all the different conditions that we would see, in the pharmacy that people get prescriptions for. So I'm constantly trying to sort of self-develop and have a look at more deeply into clinical conditions that nutrition could play a part in.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing background story. And what made you choose the pharmacy route instead of the dentistry route, which is the other sort of thing you mentioned is common in Egypt and all, in that culture?
I'm not too sure. I guess it seemed more the closest thing to being a doctor. I guess medicine was something that it seems very kind of cool and professional to say, I'm a doctor. So having a look at pharmacy and understanding the different types of medication, I guess, was probably the closest thing. I don't think dentistry maybe attracts me too much. I don't know, looking at people's mouths, I'm not too sure. It's probably my kind of thing. But I think pharmacy was great. I think it's it was fun to work there and seeing different conditions and prescriptions and meeting people. I think that was really, really good fun. But I think I wanted to take maybe more of a holistic approach, and more of a one-to-one approach with patients, and sort of coaching and counselling them through their sort of challenges and lifestyle issues, I guess.
That's fantastic. Yeah, so you mentioned you went to uni at London Metropolitan Uni, and then you worked for a pharmacy after that. How was that experience working in the pharmacy? Is it everything you sort of thought it would be, or it is completely different?
I guess it depends. It depends where the pharmacy is based. If you're in a more affluent area where people are more educated about nutrition, then I think they're more open to receiving that advice. If you're not based in, I guess, a well-off or affluent area, I think you do need to coach and educate patients a little bit more further, which is probably where I seek the most satisfaction from. Teaching someone something new that they can then sort of develop and pass on to their families and children, to make a big difference and impact in their life. So yes, I think pharmacy is an interesting sort of industry to sort of be placed in, but you're kind of opening the doors to lots of different opportunities and meeting lots of different types of people. So I thoroughly enjoyed it there.
Yeah, it's a great experience to connect with the local people, especially when you live in a local area pharmacy, because you're considered the medical expert beyond the walls of the doctor, right? So I'm sure that's a very rewarding experience for you.
Yes.
So coming back to where you are now, so you used to work at this, I think Express Pharmacy, was it called?
Yeah.
Express Pharmacy. So what have you moved on to now? I know you're running NutriPrep Nutrition, which is your own sort of consultancy, nutrition consultancy. But sort of, are you looking at anything else, or that's your main thing?
So I guess NutriPrep is my baby. It's my business. I'm trying to really sort of help, grow it and reach out to different businesses to see where they may feel that I can fit as well. So I love having, like I mentioned, the one-to-one interaction with patients, coaching you through the dietary and lifestyle challenges that you may have. But I think I would love to maybe slowly move to businesses, corporate seminars, corporate group sessions where we can help, rather than just one individual person, but an abundance of people all in one, tackle people within the workplace, where we're kind of sitting at home now, we're probably gaining quite a few pounds behind the desk, and just sort of get those people collectively together and just sort of work through it together. So I think that's probably the next direction that I would like to head with NutriPrep. But I think that's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of people would benefit from that, because it's so easy to reach to the kitchen cupboard when you're working at home. And it's just, if it's just a few feet away, you end up going there for, the occasional walnuts or the occasional cereal bars, protein bars, and you don't check how many calories you're eating. And we're lucky that the gyms have opened now, that you can go back and work out and stuff. Before that, it was probably very hard over the last year. So that's amazing.
We definitely weren't moving as much last year, especially if you were fortunate enough to work from home. Previously in the office, you'd be up and about talking to people and moving around the office, or wherever you may be based. It's been quite a challenging year, I think, fitness-wise. So yeah, I'd love to sort of support people who are working from home or sort of not as active as they were before.
Yeah, I personally saw a big change in sort of my fitness and health. But I used to compensate with a bit of running here and there. But it is painful. Doing the home workouts was so painful. It just doesn't cut it. It's not the same, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah, you can get all the resistance bands and all, but it's just not the same as lifting weights or something. What you do in the gym, the environment, I think that contributes a lot. That's cool. That's amazing. So I think a question I had, and I'm sure many people have around it, can you tell us a little bit about what the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist is? And how does somebody know which one should they have? Like if I know that I want to, improve my health and eating habits, but I don't know the calorie contents of different foods. I don't know the macros. I don't know how much should I eat brown rice, white rice, stuff like that, right? I can Google it, but like there's a lot of conflicting information all over the web. So how does one decide if I should work with a nutritionist or a dietitian if I want to say lose some weight or just want to get healthy, get lean, get chiseled, get ripped? I don't know, whatever your goals are. So yeah, what's the difference there?
Yeah, so very common question. I think there is a lot of there is a lot of overlap between nutritionists and dietitians. Traditionally, dietitians are considered a healthcare professional, so they, they're governed. They have a body behind them. They traditionally will kind of focus on medical conditions, so it could be Crohn's disease, IBS. However, nutritionists have more of a holistic approach where they just look at food, so helping you with your lifestyle. So that could be weight loss, having a look at macros and calculating those for you, making healthy swaps. But a dietitian will have more of a sort of medical background. They can prescribe certain medications for you as well, supplements, but nutritionists don't necessarily have that, I guess, power to do so. There's two different qualifications as well. So dietitian, you would need to sort of graduate from university. You would be registered as well with the Dietetics Association. With a nutritionist, you don't necessarily need to go to university and study nutrition. There are lots of diplomas that you can get. There's some good ones that you can study. I personally studied it at university. I got the degree, and I'm registered with the Association for Nutrition. So that's also a kind of body behind the nutritionists as well. But
I found you there. That's from, yeah.
Yeah, yes. So yeah, it's a great register. So if you want to find someone who has that degree, who is qualified, who is registered, that's the best place to have a look. Unfortunately, anyone can call themselves a nutritionist. If you've got, over 10,000 followers on Instagram and you've had a successful weight loss journey, unfortunately, people do still kind of turn to these influencers as a nutritionist or someone that they kind of seek advice from. So so dietitian's more kind of medical background, and nutrition has a more like a holistic approach.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So if somebody wants to lose weight or go down that route, the nutritionist is the one you need to speak to, not the dietitian as such. If you don't have a condition that you need addressing, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. And I think I've seen you do some work with IBS. So I'm kind of curious to learn your thoughts about it, because I didn't know much about it. I know it's irritable bowel syndrome and all, but I don't know the details. I haven't dug into it. So it would be nice to hear sort of at a high level what is IBS, and does it affect like a lot of people, and what's how we can, if they have it, like what's the first step they should do to address it? How do they know they have it? Like a little bit of high level overview on IBS. I know you've been doing some great work on that.
Yeah, so I have been working with a hypnotherapist. His name is Chris, and we have sort of developed a plan for helping patients who are suffering from IBS and sort of put that back into remission. A top sort of level explanation of what IBS is. It's short for irritable bowel syndrome, where your body or your intestines can't necessarily process or digest certain foods. It irritates the intestine, so you can suffer from inflammation, gas, bloating. It's not the nicest, I guess, condition. It makes you feel very uncomfortable. You may suffer from, loose stools, which makes it a little bit uncomfortable if you're in the workplace, because it can be quite unpredictable. So working with nutritionists like myself, we can help you sort of, conquer these the symptoms and the side effects that you may be suffering from, to help it become a little bit more manageable. Usually you will go to the doctor if you're suffering from any of these symptoms. So if you are constantly suffering from bloating after a meal and you're not too sure why or what the triggers or the causes are, usually you would go to the doctor and kind of they'll discover and do a few tests to identify whether you have IBS or not. So usually the recommended, I guess, solution for IBS, there's several different routes. So you can go through or go down the hypnotherapy route, which has proven to be very successful for most people, or there is a food plan that you can follow. It's not a one-size-fits-all plan. It consists of foods that are low in FODMAP. I will maybe discuss that on another call. But it's really just a sort of trial and error plan where you test what works for you and what doesn't, what triggers these symptoms and the uncomfortable symptoms that you're suffering from. So yeah,
so if you have something like bloating and regular more than like abnormal stools and stuff like that, those are the kind of symptoms one should look at if they can, since they have IBS or something. And some cures could be like hypnotherapy, as you said, or some medication, right foods and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So again, as a nutritionist, I like to avoid medication where possible. Sometimes it's not, but definitely through the elimination of particular foods, you can help alleviate the aggravation in the intestines and things like that, so that you don't need to rely on painkillers or anti-inflammatory medication. So that's my main sort of approach to helping those with IBS.
That's very interesting. I think it's become quite a popular topic. People didn't address it or were not comfortable to talk about it before, but now it's getting quite open and quite normal to talk about it. So just before we sort of move out from IBS, like how does one get it? How do you get IBS? Is there a studied way or cause to it?
There's no particular cause. There are certain so fibers are undigestible. You can't digest fiber. Your body can't break it down very easily. So in some people, and a lot more people than we actually think do suffer from IBS. With those people, with those patients, it just causes irritation in the intestine. So the symptoms that people will suffer from will vary from person to person. So like I mentioned, it could be bloating, it could be gas, it could be loose stools, you could be constipated. There's lots of different side effects that you can suffer from. So there isn't anything in particular that triggers it. It's just how your body processes the food and digests the food, or is unable to digest the food.
Right. I think that's very helpful for a lot of people. If you have that kind of condition, experiencing it, I recommend you do research into IBS and try to understand what's causing it and whether you have it, first of all, and then speak to like a professional, like a doctor, or even hit up Marina, and she can tell you whether you got IBS potentially. So that's interesting. Moving on from IBS to like the more on what people aspire now, which is weight loss, getting fit and shredded for the summer. So I don't know whether you're comfortable to talk about a little bit about your sort of weight loss journey and how you overcame it. It's a very difficult topic for a lot of people to talk about, but it's a goal that many aspire to, including myself. I haven't reached there. But yeah, it would be nice to hear about your story and how can and people take inspiration from that.
Yes, of course. I think this is so my personal story is something that makes me maybe slightly unique in comparison to other nutritionists. I think having gone through my own personal weight loss journey, I know exactly what you're going through. I understand the struggles. I understand how difficult it is. Understanding relationship with food and kind of viewing food in a different light was not easy for me. And so if I just sort of take it back I have always been overweight since I was young, and I think I did develop a maybe unhealthy relationship with food. You know, traditionally at home, you finish your plate. That was something that you always had to do. You know, you don't leave the dinner table until your plate is empty. You know, and food sometimes was a source of comfort, you know, when you're going through difficult times, or if you're stressed going through exams. For many of us, I'm sure many of you can relate that food sometimes can give you a sense of enjoyment or satisfaction. And I guess going through a transitional journey where I felt enough is enough, you know, there's always the light bulb moment of, I need to make a change now. It could be a really awful picture that you've seen where you look overweight, or you know, trying on dresses with a group of friends or something as a group of girls, and being the odd one out where you can't find your size on the shelf was always a very sort of upsetting moment, I guess. And I think during your teen years, I think it becomes a lot more prominent, where girls, in particular women or men, are still trying to find themselves. They're trying to understand who they are. And I think your image, and especially now where image seems to play a huge role in who we are with, you know, social media and influencers, there's a lot of kind of I guess expectation to look in a particular way. For me, my light bulb moment was a photograph online, and funnily enough, I was actually chomping into a piece of cake in the photo.
I think you might have shared that photo somewhere in one of your Facebook posts like a year ago or something, if I don't remember.
Yes, yeah. Unfortunately, that was the photo, and I thought, what on earth is this photo? This is awful. You know, I'm happy as Larry eating my cake, but you could see that I was very large, very overweight. And actually, if you look very deep into the photo, I'm unhappy. I am unhappy, and you could tell that being surrounded by my friends and family, I wasn't comfortable with who I am. I was very guarded in the way that I was sitting. I was trying to sort of cover the lumps and bumps that may have been showing. And that for me was, right, I need to make a change. And it was also the time where I was looking at studying nutrition. So it was only, well, I say a short while ago now, but it was probably quite some time, where I thought I need to start shifting the way I think about food. So food is a source of energy, and if I'm not going to be using that energy, then it's really just going to be sitting in on your body. So changing my vision of food as a source of energy, as opposed to a source of comfort, as opposed to something that makes me feel good. Not to say that you can't enjoy your food at all, but I think just kind of changing that mindset and trying to adopt a healthier lifestyle, and having the weight loss be secondary to that. So as soon as you shift your mindset to, you know, tunnel vision, I need to lose the weight, to more of, I need to shift and make this a lifestyle, then that slowly comes after.
So how do you I want to dig a bit deeper on this relationship with food, because I think it's very interesting. A lot of people have that and might have a problem there. So what does it mean to have a good relationship with food? Like, I'm a huge fan of I have a huge sweet tooth. I love ice creams and chocolates, right? Two things, like a big weakness. So what does a good relationship with food look like, and how can you know if you have a healthy one or not?
Yeah, so I guess really it's thinking about where food is positioned in your life. If we think about a scenario, if you have a nice piece of cake in front of you, or if you don't have a sweet tooth, a nice piece of, I don't know, fish or chicken, or a nice source of protein, for example, are you okay to leave it for the next day? If I told you that the cake is still going to be there, it's going to be nice and fresh, or the food's going to be hot and steamy, you might be hungry, but do you have that self-control to leave it and know that it will still be there the next day? Or changing the scenario, that cake and the nice hot meal is there, you've had a very stressful day, a long day. do you think about de-stressing in the gym or going for a walk, or do you automatically think about, oh, I could have a nice bowl of pasta? And I think how you think of food in that way, in that regard, after you've had, you know, some bad news or a stressful day, or you're celebrating. Usually now we go for a meal to celebrate. Does it need to do that? Why don't you go for a walk with some friends, you know, get some fresh air? When you think about where food is positioned in your life, you can start to kind of, I guess, sort of expand and see where is the root cause. Is it because when I was very, very young, I used to get told off for not eating or finishing my plate? Maybe that is where the root cause was from. And, you know, if you have a session with me, we do talk about the kind of psychological elements and the relationships with food, to really sort of dig deeper and sort of unlock that and just try and make sure that food doesn't have a hold of you, because really it's you who should be, you know, have a lot more control of what you put inside your body. So that's, I guess, maybe a quick snippet of how you can sort of reassess whether you have a healthier relationship with food or whether you see it as a source of energy.
Right. So an unhealthy one would be like, you know, eating a bunch of ice cream when you come back. If you're tired, I had a bad day at work, or ordering like pizzas, extra large pizza in my case. And, yeah, so that's kind of that's not a very productive, very good relation with food. And what you said about leaving the food, I think that's very important. Like, can you leave the chocolate there? Can you leave the cake? Can you leave the food that you made today, the tasty pasta or whatever, for tomorrow? Or do you need to like finish it now? I think a lot of people would answer that question, and would find it difficult to find out where they are. But that's interesting. So would you say that's very important if you're trying to lose weight, or is that the one of the most important things you need to think about and have that healthy relation with food?
So I think really finding where food is positioned in your life is probably one of the first steps. Do a discovery session, you know, sit down and think about where it plays a role in your life. From there, you can then start developing a healthier lifestyle. So, you know, let's mentally prepare you for this new journey that you're about to embark on. If you need to have, it may sound silly to some people, but to have a grieving process, you know, I have an emotional attachment to food. Do you need to let that go? Do you need to understand that food doesn't have a hold of me? You know, I think it's a lot deeper for some people, and I know particularly for me it was. You know, it was my source of comfort, and I think moving from a position where I need to understand that it shouldn't play such a huge role in my life, and you know, it's there, you know, for me to enjoy and for me to have the energy to do what I need to do and get on for the rest of my day, but it shouldn't sort of overtake everything that I do throughout the whole day. So I guess the first step would be, yes, to have a discovery session. You can book that with me and we can discuss that if you need a bit of guidance. But having a self-reflection of where food is in your life would be the first step, and then moving on to you know, what are your goals? Do you want to have a healthier life, to have children or be there for your children, or you know, be a role model if you're already a parent, or for your family if you want to be a carer for your parents, for example, or your elderly relatives, for example. Food plays a huge part in that, the way that you sort of fuel your body to do exactly what you want. So I think thinking about the later goal and not just the short-term goal. So if you want to be more energized, yes, maybe weight loss would be one of the steps, but that's not the end goal. The end goal would be to have, you know, longevity of life, rather than I need to lose 10 kilos. Because if you're kind of if you're looking at the short-term goals when you're planning the long-term goal, you will never be successful, and I think you will sort of fall back into old habits.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Thinking long term instead of short term, because many people think only about the summer. Like, I need to fit into my bikini, or I need to walk, you know, have a six pack and walk on the beaches of Spain, you know, flaunting my six pack. And then when you hit October and all, like, and they start to go back into hibernation, and let's just pile on a few kilos. So yeah, what you said about planning long term, I think that is very, very important. A lot of people should think about it, whether you want longevity of life or you want to stay healthy for the next 5 years instead of just for a summer. So how does weight loss actually happen at a high level without going into the detail? Like if somebody wants to lose weight, there'll be people selling fat burners and supplements and stuff like that, right? But clearly that doesn't work. And so I'm keen to hear what are the steps people should take if they're trying to lose weight. They know the goal, they want to lose 10 kilos, they're overweight or something. They know what they want in the long term. So, well, how should they tackle the weight loss journey?
Right. So I think in my past experience, it really is having that end goal in sight, but also seeing past that. It's great that you want to lose the 10 kilos, but what is it that you will be able to achieve once you've reached that goal? So and then once you've kind of got that long end term goal, you can then set the mini milestones, and you can have celebrations once you've met these mini milestones. I think one of the key points would be motivation. You can't do anything unless you're motivated, unless you're driven. Discover what your key motivators are. Is it you will be able to fit into a particular outfit that you've always loved? Is it that you want to spend more time and be more active with your family? So having these key motivators and staying motivated to get to that journey is something that you should try and have. If not, then it's always good to adopt a support system as well. So have friends and family, make them aware. It's not shameful to say that you're dieting or that you're trying to improve your lifestyle. And those who are close to you should be supportive of that as well. So having a good support system and having a good coach, a nutritionist, or a support group as well, that's something that you can always sort of develop or put together, or I could connect people who wanted to be like-minded and support each other, is always really good, because it could be that you're all suffering from the same struggles and you can all support each other through that. So definitely having your mini milestones, your long-term goal, motivation, and a really good support group. But I think also being realistic with time frame. It doesn't happen overnight. Your 10 years of bad habits are not going to be diminished within 2 weeks. It does take time to really see the results. So staying motivated and keeping yourself on track to see the long-term effects that you want to achieve is really important.
Yeah, what you said is very critical there, motivation and habits, right? Because motivation lasts for a short time and can disappear sometimes. Whereas the habits are the thing that's going to get you past the finish line. So like, what are some healthy habits, maybe 2 or 3 healthy habits people can adapt into their life? I believe I read it takes like 21 days to develop a habit. And like 1 or 2 few days to, well, 1 day to break it or second to break it or something like that. So yeah, what are the top like 3 to 4 habits you'd say people should adopt is trying to lose weight and be healthy?
Definitely take things in small achievable steps. I think that's really important. If you're biting too much more than you can chew, I think it can be quite difficult, and maybe turning in the opposite direction from the direction that you want to go in. Small habits, I guess, would be writing down your goals. I think if you do that at the beginning of your journey, and then weekly or even daily, have a look at the goals and see, where are you? What progress have you made? Because when you look back 7 days or 14 days or even a month later, to see the progress that you've made over a 4-week period is really encouraging to see, which you wouldn't see on a day-to-day basis. Another habit that I would probably recommend, if you can try and incorporate, would be 30 minutes of exercise. That could be a small brisk walk in the morning, something that will refresh you in the morning and help you feel energized. I think if you can get into the habit of finding something that you enjoy doing, as well as, rather than, it's something that you enjoy that can help you towards your goal, rather than seeing it as a chore. So I don't particularly like exercise very much. I don't like the gym. I much prefer kind of taking part in sports, or something that I don't feel as if I'm exercising. So I like to go on walks and kind of seeing, admiring the scenery, as opposed to going to the gym and sort of on the treadmill where you're kind of jumping up and down, and it feels like a chore to me, and I'm sure many people probably can relate. So I think finding an exercise that you can do for 30 minutes a day that you don't see as a chore will become a fun habit for you, because you see it as a fun task rather than a chore.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Like even just a small walk around the block or up a hill in the vicinity where you live, go and get some peaceful meditative space. Like just as you said, 30 minutes can be like go a long way, right? When you compound it over 6 months or something.
Yeah.
And what do you think of tracking calories in like an app like MyFitnessPal or something? Tracking the amount of macros and scanning the barcodes on the foods you eat. And because I tried that and I really hate it, I'll be honest. It's very boring and repetitive, right? But I kind of know where I stand on a daily calorie intake. I don't count calories to the core, but what you think tracking calories is very important to knowing where you're going and if you're going in the right direction?
So I think this is a very controversial question. I'm sure there's going to be some dietitians, nutritionists who swear by it. For me, I say yes and no. If you're very early on in your weight loss journey or your kind of new lifestyle change, I will say yes, let's track your calories and see where we're going wrong or where we can improve. But this is for me to better understand you, for you to understand maybe where you're, what you're eating. Where is it that maybe my calories are coming into play? Is it that I'm eating too much fat? Is it that I need to increase my protein content so that I'm not losing muscle? If you don't understand the food that you're eating and what you're putting into your body, maybe you do need to track what you're eating for a period of time. But I think once you understand portion sizes and what it is that you're putting in your body and in what quantity, I would then slowly move away from that, because it can become obsessive. You can become very obsessed with, oh, but I had 2 grains of salt, let me count this. We don't want you to have that obsessive kind of trait towards counting calories. We want you to understand what you're eating and what you're putting into your body, but not to the point where absolutely everything needs to be tracked. So I think education and understanding what you're doing first is key, and you can do that through food diaries, if you find that easier. So yes, I think they're a great tool to understand first, but then as a continued thing, as a continued habit, I probably would recommend to try and avoid. But that's my opinion. I'm sure there are some other nutritionists who may disagree.
Yeah, I think knowing the calorie content of food at a high level is very useful. Like when I used to eat cereal in the beginning, I used to eat like I don't know, like 3 or 4 handfuls, and I didn't realize that. But only recently I realized like 1 handful is like 30 grams, which is 1 serving. The minute you put like 2, you're like doubling the calorie intake right of the cereal. So I'll just give the example of cereal, but the portion size is so important, right? And when you know that, because you have done a bit of tracking in the early days, like 300 ml of milk will give you this, or 100 gram of rice will give you these kind of calories, you can be more aware of when you're making the portions for the future, even though you're not tracking it to the grain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's great for the discovery session. I mean, if you're you may think that you're having a really healthy meal. You may think that you're having a salad with a little bit of salad dressing, but when you actually do track it and see actually 2 scoops is has so much sugar or so much salt content, which is detrimental maybe to what you're trying to achieve. It's great to kind of discover that, because a lot of the time, there's lots of shows on TV even about once people have started recording things in their food diary, they think, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was actually having this much throughout the day or throughout the week. So yeah, I think it's great for discovery, absolutely, but maybe not for the long term.
Yeah, that's a very interesting, helpful advice. What's your thought on health supplements? So we obviously Nutrivi's health supplement company, so I have to talk about it. But that's also another controversial topic where I see people saying that you need health supplements, other people saying, I swear I do not take any health supplements and I've been totally fine my whole life. So what's a nutritionist perspective? What's your perspective on taking, vitamins and minerals, or can we get everything from the food? We don't need to go into water soluble, fat soluble, all that stuff, but just at a high level, should people take it, and how do they know whether they need it, and how can they, make sure that they're not going down the bad route where they will have health problems in the future?
Yeah, again, maybe controversial, but my personal opinion is, as a nutritionist, I think my goal is always to ensure that I'm educating patients to eat the correct foods in the correct moderations for their particular lifestyle. So whether you're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, trying to ensure that you are adopting a healthy lifestyle, eating the correct foods to ensure that you have all the correct nutrients and minerals that you need. Of course, I think my preferred method would be, you can have everything through the food that you consume, but there are certain circumstances where that's not always the case. For the past year, we've been working from home, we haven't been outside. A lot of us are deficient in vitamin D, and I think it's very common in this particular in this country where there isn't a lot of sun, or we're not getting out, we're not moving about, we're probably not mindful of the foods that we're eating, that we are becoming a lot more deficient in lots of vitamins and lots of minerals at the moment. Again, I think automatically, if you are following a vegan or vegetarian diet, instantly I think about B vitamins. I think about vitamin B12, which is very, very important. Iron. You are probably more prone, if you are on a restrictive diet, to be deficient in certain things. And this is where health supplements are important, and I think they are key to have within your diet. So I can tell you to eat 10 kilos of spinach, but I don't think that would be very fun, or tasty in particular. I guess I don't think anyone would love to eat 10 kilos of spinach, but I think there are certain circumstances where you will need to supplement those vitamins and minerals. But of course, my first point or go-to would be, let's reassess your diet, let's reassess your lifestyle, and where we don't see food can play the 100% role, we would supplement that.
So how do you know that the food you're eating is good enough? So when somebody does like an assessment with you, that's how they would know that you could potentially be deficient in B12 because you're vegan, or you never leave the house, you're a hermit crab or something, you stay at home, so you're potentially lacking vitamin D. You don't eat fermented foods and all, you don't like spinach, so probably vitamin K2 as well. Mm-hmm. So doing like that initial assessment, that's a good way to find out, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, so we can do a basic assessment. We can talk about the main sort of symptoms that you may suffer if you are deficient from the key minerals and vitamins. So again, like anemia, if you're suffering from anemia, or you're low in iron, or if you're low in vitamin D, there are certain things that you may be suffering from that you may not actually necessarily relate to that particular deficiency. A lot of it is just talking through what your regular kind of day is, with what kind of meals you have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Again, we can talk about writing a food diary and discussing what it is that you like, what are your likes, your dislikes, your allergies, and if we feel that a supplement is required, particularly for vitamin D, for K2, again, the B vitamins if you are vegan or vegetarian, this is something that we would need to assess. There are, I guess, a more accurate way would be through a blood test. It can be invasive. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like blood tests or needles, but you can still kind of have a full assessment with a nutritionist or a healthcare professional to discuss your symptoms and where we can incorporate supplements if we feel that it's best fit.
Do you think people should be taking these blood tests to find out and be more proactive before they start to have health problems and then they realize that they are deficient?
Yes, so I think it's important to have regular checks in general. Just understand your body, what's going on inside you. What can you improve? What can you prevent before things actually happen? So, I've seen lots of things about where people are diagnosed before it's too late. So even diabetes, for example, you can reverse that by eliminating certain foods in the diet. If you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, if you're doing regular blood tests every 6, maybe 12 months with your GP, maybe not even that frequently, just to understand what's going on and what you can improve before it becomes too late so that we can reverse it as quickly as possible.
I think that's key. That's a big thing, to staying proactive. So if you had to say in 3 things people should do to right now to stay proactive about their health, what would be those 3 things?
Speak to me. Number 1, speak to me. Let's talk about your lifestyle. Number 2, if you want maybe a little bit more of a detailed breakdown, definitely go and have a blood test. You can discuss your results with myself if you wanted to. If you don't understand what the numbers mean, we can go through it. We can definitely talk about what maybe is borderline, what you may need to increase or decrease in your diet to prevent maybe long-term diseases and conditions. And maybe again, I think just reassessing what it is that you're eating. How is it that you can start developing a healthier lifestyle rather than thinking about the short-term goals of I want to be a little bit slimmer, or I want to just increase muscle mass, for example. Think about the long-term plan.
Yeah, because that's the only way to have true sustainability, right? To have planning for long term. So yeah, that's great. That's very great advice, Marina. So how can people reach you if they want to, they love your talk here, and they want to get in touch to do their nutrition assessment, or they want to do their show you their vitamin levels? Because I see I'm a part of a lot of Facebook groups, and I see many people every day write there about they've done a test, but they don't know whether the results are good or bad. They've been told they're deficient, but with no information how to recover. So they have to rely on people's speculative comments from people in Facebook groups telling them to take this protocol and that cofactor protocol, and so it's just confusing, right? And there's misinformation. So how can people reach you to get the real expert advice?
Yeah, so I think, as you mentioned before as well, there is a lot of conflicted information online, information, and I think speaking to a professional, someone who knows what they're talking about, to guide you individually through your bespoke, through your personal blood test or your symptoms, I think is key, because it isn't a one-size-fits-all solution online. The best way, I'm easily accessible. The best way to contact me is either through my website, which is nutriprepuk.co.uk, or you can contact me via email or through my social media platforms. So I have an Instagram and Facebook page. Both are relatively active. I do respond very quickly, and we can book in a free sort of discovery session for 15 minutes where we can sort of discuss whatever I can help you with, and then we can sort of take it from there.
That's awesome, guys. So if you're looking for weight loss, support with weight loss, with vitamin deficiencies, review your results, find out if you're deficient in a vitamin potentially, or if you have got some results and you don't know how to integrate them, Marina is the best point of contact to speak to. As well as if you're looking to lose weight, why you want to lose weight, as Marina said in this talk, thinking of your long-term goals, even setting those goals and taking the action to achieve those goals and to learn more and improve your relationship with food, do reach out to Marina. We'll be leaving some contact details in the description, as well as I'll try and have it up on the screen. So do reach out to Marina. But Marina, has been really great to speak with you and get your insight and advice, your expert opinion on a lot of these topics, because there is a lot of conflicting information, and I think people really need to judge the source of the information they're reading or the video they're watching. So thank you for sharing this precious gift of advice with us. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thanks, Marina.
Thanks.